guys, so today I have a horror story. The story is basically from Reddit. It's called Someone Walks Past My House Whispering Every Night at 3:03. I don't know. 3:03. okay. I'm telling you, I'm not even gonna be trying to look outside. Honestly, I mind my business. So basically, there's this new family who moved in town, and the reason why they moved in town is because one of their kids, basically, she was born a premature, and obviously the doctor literally told the family that you guys need to be able to look out for the worst because your child anytime soon, so obviously because of this whole situation, the family relocated themselves to be in a place near the hospital, because every single time they had to go back and forth, or sometimes the wife will actually be in the hospital to stay with the child. So basically it was just a whole lot of mess. So they decided to relocate to this new town. When they relocated to this new town, basically they have a housing committee, and that time obviously the doctor did give them the approval to be able to take their baby home. So when they moved into town, there is a house committee basically who basically welcomes the new neighbors, and he was there. It's like, hey guys, welcome to the new neighborhood. If you guys need anything, if you guys need help, we are your neighbors, all of those, lovey-dovey things, right? And then he ends up saying, look, I have to tell you something, right? At 3:03 there is somebody who's literally walking past our neighborhood, basically whispering, and I don't think you guys should look at it, because any person who looks at what is whistling outside basically either dies or bad fortune just basically follows them all the way through. The wife is basically saying, you guys are just speaking nonsense at this point. But the husband, like, look, I grew up in the islands, right? And this is the type of information my grandma and my mama be telling me. So I think it's best for us to be able to listen to this guy, right? So the husband, basically being a believer in all of those things, he literally goes to the shop to be able to buy things, to be able to cover the curtains to the nest, and also lock them so that the kids won't be able to peek through to be able to hear what's happening outside, right? So this has been going well for them for the past 10 years since they've been living here, and now this child who was a premature, she's surviving, she's popping, she's living good, because one of the main wishes in this place is that if you live according to the rules, you will get good luck. Things like, luck that you don't actually see, things like, winning a radio contest, basically, getting a promotion, things that are very nice, subtle, but at the same time very beneficial to you. So I think the fact that the baby is basically living is because of the one wish. So if it was me, I'll also listen to it. Honestly, I would not even bother. Why would I bother something when it's giving me a child who the doctor literally told me that? And every night at 3:00, there's someone who's always walking past their neighborhood, basically whispering. And when he's whispering, he literally ends at 3:05. So that's like almost like a 2 minute of him whistling. So I feel like that's not a lot. I can tolerate that. One of their neighbors passed away, and then we have new neighbors. So obviously, the house committee goes to the place and tells them, hey, you know what, welcome to the new neighborhood, but also be aware that at 3:03, there's somebody who's basically walking, whistling in the neighborhood. I do not suggest you look at it, because if you do look at it, you are going to be met with a lot of misfortune. So obviously, the family does believe in all of those things, and then just like that, they basically get along with the whole community, which is very good. But obviously they have a curious boy, so one day they want to go on a date night, and they tell the family, hey, can you please watch my kid? The family's like, yeah, no problem. And just like that, basically the child stays over for the night, and when he stays over for the night, they're basically playing, having fun, sitting themselves down. But the guy starts asking questions like, the person who's whistling at night, I think is that old man from the street. Like, nah, he's not that person, he's really nice. Well, I don't know, honestly, I want to look. Yeah, I want to look, but the problem is every single night my parents basically they lock the blades, and I can't even open the blades to be able to see what's actually happening outside, right? But it's like, no, same as our parents. Like, no, your parents don't do that. Like, honestly, your dad actually, okay, he does lock, but at the end of the day, he takes the keys and actually put them with the house keys. So which means if you want to see, you can just go into your father's room and actually see. Then the guy's like, no, that's not true, right? Basically, he literally goes into his father's room to be able to see if one of the blades can blade down. Clouds alarm contain whatever baby saying. So basically he wants to be able to see if that thing basically is attached to this thing, right? And he goes there, and when he goes there, he doesn't find the key, only to realize that basically Holland basically tricked him. And when he tricked him, he literally took his younger sister and basically went with them to the kitchen to be able to open one of the curtains, because at that exact moment the whistler started whistling at 3:03. So he's opening it, the guy is literally running to protect his sister, because it's like, oh my god, this guy fooled me. And he goes there and he runs, and when he runs, the moment when the blade literally opens, he literally covers his sisters, basically push her to the point where the sister's looking at the hallway, and then he's closing his eyes and he's telling his sister, do not look, don't even dare to look. And whatever was whistling outside stopped. He looks at that thing terrified, like scared to the brim of his being, and he starts screaming. Because obviously it's still 303, what the boy does basically, he tries to reach over for the curtains. He closed the curtains without actually looking at the curtains, and then while he's literally there, he can feel like an air breathing on his neck. I'm like, so just like that, he goes there, he closed the curtains, and when he closed the curtains, right? So basically, when he closed the curtains, Paulette starts screaming. Like, he was screaming, but now this time he's screaming so worse. The whole family basically comes into the house, and when they come into, it's like, what is going on? What is going on? He tells the family like, he looked, and his father basically says, was he the only one? And to be fair, I'm not even gonna blame him for saying that, because kids are very weird, and at the same time, the fact that I was also a kid myself, so I won't blame Holly, but at the same time, also blame him, because he used to because he could listen to his father's rules when he was there at the place, but the moment when he's in somebody else's house, those rules don't even matter to him anymore, and that's the reason why he's actually in this position, which I feel bad, but at the same time, you shouldn't have looked. Obviously, because Holly basically screaming and all of those things, the family says, don't worry, we're not even gonna try to open the door to see what is actually going on inside, only to find out that that thing actually can mimic people, mimics the mother, basically saying, call the police, call the police, call the police. So obviously the family basically is like, we're not gonna open this thing. And then just like that, there's banging on the right door, there's banging on the left, there's banging into the entire house. It looks like whatever is literally in there is literally basically hitting them like the house is like a drum. The whole family is basically on edge. They can't sleep until 7 p.m. when there is literally the sun now. And when there's a sun, basically they take the child to the family and say, hey, your kid looked. He looked. I closed the blades. I locked it. I took my keys into my room. Your child went into my room to take the keys and actually do that. And the reason why I did not even bother myself to hide the keys is because my children have been listening. Your child decided to go into my room, take my keys, get outside, open the blades, and then welcome whatever was out there. He had so many times to actually think about this, but he did not do that. So obviously the family is like, oh my god. So they take Harlot basically, and just like that, the next week they start packing their things and moving out. And when you look at them, it seems like the family also looked at what was actually happening, because I believe maybe they wanted to reassure Harlot that, hey, you know what, that thing was like the 3 a.m. not whistling is nonsense. It's nonsense. It's nothing like that. There's nothing like that, right? So I believe because they tried to reassure him of this, they also try to look. And I want to say, don't look at things that don't even want you to look at them. Why are you even bothering looking at things that are not even going to be for you? I'm not even going to try to do that. I'm just going to be honest, right? And then so that's the end of the story. Basically, the family just says, I just realized that there's some things I was looking for and some are not, and I chose to listen. That's why I'm enjoying the fruit of my labor. And because if my sister looked, would she be here with us today? And I'm glad I will never be able to find out. So that's the end of the story. Today we are going to be reading one horror story. The one that we are going to be reading is I Don't Know My Roommate. Roommate how Kanjan. Okay, let's read and basically see what's happening, because for not to be fair, imagine living in a house and then you have a roommate, but also a roommate there. How do you guys live together? I'm just wondering, because for me, I talk too much. I need somebody to talk to. So if I don't have anybody to talk to, honestly, I just feel very bothered by that. So let's start. I don't know my roommate. It started 2 weeks ago. He just appeared. I was doing the dishes and a person came behind me and set a plate in the sink and said, sorry, I just finished eating. Eh? If it was me, I would have been running away. Honestly, I would not even be waiting for somebody else. If I'm alone in the house and something starts talking besides me and it's not my thoughts, no way. Matter of fact, take the house. I'll be homeless for now. I'll be homeless. Right? I live alone. I turn around, there was this basic looking guy, eyeglasses, brown hair, suit and tie, looking like he was going to work. I obviously freaked out. I never met this man before in my entire life, and here he was with one of my plates in the kitchen of my apartment, acting like nothing was wrong. He then looked at me like I was crazy. Says, whoa, what is wrong? Did I scare you that badly? No, what do we call this? Because honestly, let's be honest. You know what you need to do? If you know how to beat somebody else, you know what? I'm not saying you should, Mara. I insisted he leave, then I grabbed a knife to defend myself, then he backed up. Hey, just calm down, hold on, let me go get someone. Just breathe for a second, okay? There's somebody else here. He quickly booked it out of the door. He was so fast I could barely get out of the door to see him run down the hall. I sat there in shock for a few minutes before I grabbed my phone and went to call the police, but then the landlord came, knocked on the door. Hey, Tim said that you were threatening him with knives. Is everything okay? no, everything is not okay. Why is this random person in my house? And what the why did you even allow this person to be in my house in the first place? Honestly, what is going on? Because what is going on is not actually normal, and at the same time, I'm actually freaking out from what is actually going on. So please, alert behind the label worry posted upon his face. I say, team, whoever the hell it is, should be kicked out for trespassing. The Longnose looked at Tim and said, "Goodness, what did you say to her this time?" Tim responded with a nervous click before answering, "I guess I should have given her my dishes sooner." They both shared a laugh while I stood there barefoot. I asked the landlord, "Who is this and what the hell is going on?" He answered with, "That's your roommate." Don't I pay for this house by myself? Why is this person in my house? Why did you not even try to consider me? Like, honestly, do you hate me? You know what? Let me just pack my bags and leave. Your roommate? I have never met him in my life. Not once, not even on the street. By summer, he has become my roommate. Moreover, he says he's been living with me for 3 months. The reason why, if I ever buy myself a house, I'm gonna make sure that I do some research because I don't want to find myself in this type of situation, right? Hello guys, welcome to another story. So today's story is the man in my basement takes one step closer every week. Yo, I'm so grateful that I don't have a basement because imagine how and every single moment he's always taking one step until he reaches where you are, basically where your room is. I'm telling you, this story is wild. So, right? So, Tabang is 20 years old. He just moved into his house that he literally recently bought, and he's feeling so proud of himself because this was something that he wanted for the past 20 years, and he's been working hard for it since like forever, right? So, the fact that he has something of his own basically fills him with pride. But the problem is, when he bought the house, right, he did not do the research. He did not do the research, which is the problem here, right? When you watch a lot of horror movies and when you buy an old house, the best thing that you can do for yourself, do some research in there. What if you are living in somebody's house who literally killed his entire family? What if you're living in a house where somebody's literally angry about the fact that he doesn't want new neighbors? What if you're living in a house when somebody basically hates you? You know, do research, my brother, do research. Basically, when this man buys the house, right, he's doing renovation, he's trying to clean the house, basically trying to, put all his belongings in, and then just then he finds a note. So he finds a note, and the note is basically attached to one of the doors in his house. And the note literally says, "Rule number 1, you will begin in the furthest corner of your basement. If you see him, do not overreact. He may decide to move on. Rule number 2, if the intruder decides to stay, he will take one step closer every week. Do not attempt to speak with him, hurt him, or get third parties involved. Rule number 4, any violation of the 3 generally results in quicker steps depending on severities of the transgression. Rule number 5, barricading the door is acceptable. This will slow him down, but the process will be very loud, difficult to sleep. Rule number 6, to others, the intruder will appear as a mannequin, a rubbing dummy, or a coat hanging. Do not let the guests near him. Rule number 7, the intruder will not move as long as you have guests in the house. I once had a guest for 3 months and the intruder did not move at all. Rule number 8, you can leave the house, but never anywhere else. Never make plans to move or even try to browse the internet searching for a new place. The importance of this rule cannot be overstated. The moment when this person heard those rules, instead of doing like what a normal person would do, basically pack up your things and literally leave and never come back, allow yourself to be like, I lost a very good portion. You know what he does is like, no, I'm not gonna do that, honestly, because I worked my entire life to be able to afford this place. Now you're telling me that I need to leave? So basically he stays, and when he stays, he takes the notes and he literally basically squashed them and literally threw them away. And this, he said that it would be one of his biggest regrets ever since, because, and when he's settling in, basically he's literally in the living room, basically watching TV, and the basement door opens. It opens slightly, but he sees it opening, right? And he's like wondering, wait, is there a wind going on? What's going on with this place? And he closes it, and then he sits back, and then after that, just a minute later, the basement door basically opens itself again. So he's not catching the grift, right? So he's literally just like, you know what, maybe it's the wind, maybe it is me, maybe I forgot to lock it, or maybe I thought I locked it but only to find out I didn't. All of those two things, he's trying to rationalize himself. And basically while he's literally sitting on the sofa, somebody knocks in, and when he knocks in, the guy's name, let's call him, I think Howardy. Right, so the guy's name is Howard, and he's literally telling the guys like, hey, did you find something weird in this house? Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that don't believe everything you know. You know, like, I know the note is weird, but honestly, it is not that bad. And don't take it too seriously, don't take it too seriously. And then he's literally saying all weird things. I'm not thinking, if a weird person just comes into my house and starts talking to me about a note that I thought I'm the one who knows, it makes him crazy. But I feel like we should give him a chance to explain himself. Because I'm telling you, like, they may be crazy, but they know things. That's what I'm saying. Some people, when they ramble, there's some truth in there. You just gotta listen to it, right? So the guy is talking to him. He's very shy. He doesn't speak very nice. We love like a very so like, yeah, you don't take it too seriously. Who wrote this, right? He's the son of the father who passed away in the house across the street, and so he's been tormented by all of this thing, basically trying to rationalize this guy. And it's just like that, the guy's like, okay, thank you so much for the information. Bye, Brandon. Are you even gonna question him? My brother, question the man. Literally integrate him. Do anything that you can to actually make sure that he tells you the whole entire truth, and then see whether you want to sell this house before anybody knows it. And please, you know it now, so you can just sell it. And besides, the intruder has not actually started attacking yet, so I think you should be doing this, right? Obviously, after the whole conversation with Brandon, right? So the guy basically comes into the house, and then he sees the basement door open again, and he's like, wait, I closed it before, didn't I? And it's like, you know what, I'm not even gonna try to rationalize myself. I'm not even gonna do all of those things. He goes into the room to actually start sleeping. When he is sleeping, right, he starts hearing footsteps, things basically like walking around the house. Basically, he's hearing claws, almost like a big dog is literally walking in his house. And he's starting to get scared, but he's like, man, this is my house. I'm the man of this house. So he literally takes one of the basketball bats that he had, and he literally goes in, opens the door. I would have not opened the door. He opens the door. And then when he opens the door, he literally basically looking for what's going on. He enters into the basement. The basement basically looks like that scary horror movie where, like, basically it's kind of like the yellow, that dark yellowish, almost like the scary yellowish that you see in horror movies. That one, right? He literally goes inside. He doesn't see anything, and he doesn't see anything. He goes up. He doesn't see anything, but what he does see is a coat. This coat looks human-like. But he doesn't see it at the moment, because they did say that it would not introduce itself, right? It may choose to stay based on if you give it the reaction that it wants. But if you don't, it may move on. So now he's also seeing it the way visitors also see it, as a dumb mannequin, as a code, as whatever possible thing that he wants people to see it at. So he's seen this big code. It's like, wait, this is not my code. What is this code for? Like, what's going on? And he leaves it just like that. Then he goes up and he sleeps. And then when he sleeps, he also hears obviously sounds, basically crawling, like all of those things. He hears like a dog basically in his house, basically walking. It's kind of like this. That's pretty much what he hears. And of his mind, while he was sleeping, he's actually thinking, what if the note was actually true? So this is part 1 of the story, and I will give you more stories